Welcome to the Peak of Fiction podcast, the podcast where we dive into the very best movies, TV, anime, comics, and more to find the ultimate peak of fiction. Our hosts are the head delinquent, Supa O.
Yo, what's good? What's good? You already know. Ara, you feel me?
Head of the cinema club, Beto.
Oh, well, taking anybody can join in. There's only like 2 people, so hoping for a third.
Transfer student, Gray the Samurai.
That's it, baby. You know, I transferred in. We're going to shake some things up.
And the teacher who isn't paid enough, BaitZaDust, me.
Teacher? Okay.
It was not about it, man. Listen, you need him for your club to exist. It's life.
Okay.
All right, so
Sure.
on this
Be there on
episode,
December 19th.
we're going to take a look back at the critically acclaimed animated movie, Your Name, and see just where it ranks in the peak of fiction. So, how's everybody doing?
Doing well.
So
to be
well. It's not like I've done 2 episodes at one time. That never
Almost.
happens. Almost.
It's not like you've done that. No, this is a brand new episode, you know, that no one's heard before. And this is going to be great. We're going to have a great time.
Absolutely.
All right, so Your Name is directed and written by Makoto Shinkai with production by Comics Wave Films. And to start us off, before we get into our reactions, I'll give one of my trademark swift summaries for Your Name.
That's in 2 minutes.
All right, hit that timer. All right, so the film starts with Mitsuha Miyamizu, or we'll call her Mitsuha, a high school student from a rural town called Itamori, who's bored of her small town life and all its woes, and really wants to be a boy from Tokyo in her next life. Coincidentally, she begins to switch bodies with a boy from Tokyo named Taki Tachibana. We have a frequent back and forth switching. It forces them. They start to set rules on what to do with each other's lives. They keep notes and really try to keep up because it's kind of going back and forth. And people around them can tell the personality switch. Taki also has a job as a waiter, and Mitsuha also works with her grandmother to upkeep a local like Shinto shrine. So I think it's a little hectic, and I think at some point Mitsuha sets up Taki with a person at his with a date with a person on his wait staff, and Mitsuha and her grandmother and her sister do the proper rites at the Shinto shrine, and they make this special sake with Mitsuha's saliva. So things are going pretty good, and while this back and forth is happening, they start to develop real, tangible feelings for each other. And at some point, the most thing that they want to do more than anything else is to just connect, right? They want to remember each other because they connect where one person goes to sleep and they begin to dream, another person wakes up, and they want to connect, meet up for real, because they're really sorry to build this connection. But plot twist, and this was a big twist for myself when I first saw this, you're kind of building up to this big event where they meet up, but unfortunately at the Autumn Festival, a comet that has been talked about throughout the movie splits off and completely blows up Itamori. Well, you don't find this at first, but the last thing you see is a comet, and on Taki's end, you can't contact her anymore, right? There's no more body switching. So Taki is kind of desperate, so he's like, I gotta figure out who she is and where she is. So he goes on this big quest to find out where, because he doesn't even know where she lives, and he, through his drawings, through his memories, he figures out Itamori, only to discover Itamori was blown up by a comet, and Mitsuha and everyone from that village died. So now, completely distraught, he doesn't really know what to do, and he starts to lose his memories of their connection. He figures, well, maybe there's a chance that I can reconnect if I go to the abandoned shrine and I drink the special sake that has her like DNA in it. And by doing this, he's able to swap bodies with her one more time, and is actually swapping bodies right before the comet touches down. So now, there's actually a 3-year difference between these two events, right? The comet hit 3 years ago, And now he's like 3 years, in the future. So they're not just separated by distance or bodies, but also time. He, in Mitsua's body, is desperately trying to set up circumstances to warn the people and to rally the friends to get everyone to evacuate from the town to the school so they can survive, because he knows the comet's going to come. No one believes them. They do all these stunts, but the girl's father, he's a politician, shuts them down, and you have this real feeling of hopelessness. During the peak golden hour, they manage to meet up face to face in this weird temporal space. Both the girl, Mitsuha, and Taki meet for the first time, and they promise to remember each other's names and who they are no matter what. And the body switch back, and now Mitsuha has to pick up the torch and save the town. You don't really see what happens at the end, but you find out that they did manage to evacuate everybody to the high school. They saved the town, and everything is, A-okay for everybody. But they're still separated by these 3 years, and both of them start to forget who the other person is, and they both forget each other's names, which leads, of course, to the title of the movie, where they're desperately trying to find each other, and time passes, and both of them, growing up now, feel like they're missing something in their lives. And the movie ends beautifully with them connecting after all this time, seeing each other on the train, running out, and they ask each other what each other's name is. Hopefully that's the start of a beautiful relationship. And that is the plot of Your Name.
Clocked.
Yeah. Very, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, not bad.
Now that's
I
that's
guess
what we call a trademark swift summary.
kind of. Guys, it's easy to do a Swiss
Take
summary when
notes.
you only have like 3 plot points.
You forgot the subliminal love triangle thingy that was going.
There's a lot of stuff in this movie, though.
Yeah,
This
well,
movie is.
I know it's dense. It is dense. It's like under 2 hours, but
Yeah,
a lot happens.
a lot happens. Yeah,
Pretty good film. But with that being said, with the summary out the way, let us talk about our initial reactions. Now, this is your film that you picked from one of your favorite films. Why? What resonates with you when it comes to Your Name?
I'll speak from my own perspective. I feel like the story does a beautiful job of not showing its hand too early. I think the timing of certain events is very skillfully done. They do a really good job of making you connect with the characters. I think there's also a pretty big showcase of art style that's really nice throughout the film. Like, the shots of the night sky are breathtaking. There's these really cool scenes where they almost animate depth of field, like when they're doing like some of like the knitting work, and you can like see like certain scenes look beautifully animated film. And the story, while in my brain gender swap content isn't my usual go-to, the story was really compelling. I think the way things built up, the way the characters grew during the story to the large climax that we received in the movie, even to the point where a conflict appeared that we weren't aware of, right? It was like a surprise conflict. I thought it was incredible. An incredible film. I love a story with a good build-up. I love a story with really interesting characters, and I love a story that's really beautifully shot or beautifully animated. And I feel like for me, this animated film checks so many boxes that it's landed itself in my personal Hall of Fame for animated films. It's an exceptional film.
I'd say for me, my initial reaction was I've always heard about Your Name, and I've heard of this for years. I've never seen it until it was requested for this podcast, and I think it was pretty good. I like the animation and the style, and the plot line between them and like the budding romance was interesting, right? But I was like, I was when I was watching, and I was like, it's good, but like I don't see what's so special about it. And then like the twist happens, and when you find out that they're separated not by just distance but 3 years, and then also you have this kind of like disaster, this looming disaster that's happening. That's when like it changed like as soon as that moment happens, I kind of locked in to the film, and it
Leans
really,
in.
yeah, truly, truly, truly. I was like, it was really like, oh, actually, no, this is something different. This is something like special that they have going here, and really well done. Like there's some really amazing animated sequences, all throughout this film, and the main two characters have a really good relationship, and you can really see that budding romance. But also the side characters, um, you get them, and they're all really well fleshed out. Like I would say, this is a really solid film, and I see what the hype's about. I understand why this was like such a critically acclaimed animated film.
If I could go now, this is my second time seeing this movie. The first time I saw it was when it was first released in the U.S., and I saw it in the theater back then with a couple other people. I'm preface by saying this: I'm not typically a romance movie show type of guy. You know what I mean? It'd be one thing if there's like romantic elements to a story, but if something's like in the genre romance, that's not exactly something I typically like turn to. You know what I mean? So originally, when I saw this movie, I walked away from it thinking it was it was all right, even thinking like for the wrong reasons. I even thought some scenes were funny, but overall, after a second viewing of it, after all this time, I'm a bit more favorable to it now. I still wouldn't have it like one of my most like high, like I wouldn't really like, I wouldn't put it in my like top 10 anime films. You know what I mean, personally. But like, I like it. I like it more now. I think I gave it a lot more of a chance now. That I have explored some series in these kind of genres than I did back then, and I also like both of the main characters, even though they don't share the screen together. They don't share the screen together for most of the movie. They somehow manage to bounce off each other really well, and I think that was a really cool aspect of it. And I appreciated watching this again.
Yeah, for me, I personally I've watched it. This is my second time watching it, and I think this was a beautiful movie because at first I thought it was going to be somewhat generic romance story in the typical Japanese animated format, but it was just by the climax and the twist, it just hooked me back in, and I think this is a very wonderful movie that he has made. His other works or the studio's works, I don't know which one is his because there's like so many other movies in that kind of art style where it's like the animation looks super crystal clear and super beautiful. Uh,
I think
that
he also wrote and directed Weathering with You and Suzume.
Yes, those ones I remember. I don't think I have seen Weathering You with You. Suzume I haven't seen, but yeah, they're great. These movies are great, and I appreciate it once again because I thought I put this movie as a 4 on Letterboxd, like 4 stars. But then when I look back, I was like, oh, I put 4.5 stars. So I thought it was great, and again, I think it's great again. So this is one of a great movie.
Right. So we got our initial reactions. Now we're going to get into a deeper discussion via our rating and review system. This is where we can really pull out all the big moments and really talk about them. Now, if you're not familiar, our rating review, the patented Peak of Fiction rating and reviewing system, is a 5.5 metric scoring system. This is very scientific, has no flaws, and I don't think it, needs to be improved in any way. But we rate things on 5 metrics. We have visuals and art design, characters, writing and dialogue, the X factor, and our hype moments. So we rate those 1 through 5, and that's how we really see if it's a peak of fiction material or not. So through the discussion, we're gonna really get into what makes Your Name a special film. First and foremost, let's talk about the visual. For me, this is like an easy 5. I think this film's gorgeous.
It's 5, yeah.
Easy 5.
Easy peasy. Right then and there.
Yeah, it's you'd agree, Beto. It looks about just as good as Iron Giant, right?
Yes.
Which means also you'd say you put this on the same level as 8 Crazy Nights.
Oh my
Oh my god, man.
Here we go.
Hilarious. Hey,
All
listen.
right. That being said,
Next statement. Continue.
No, but I gotta speak to it, man. Like this is like, and it's funny you mentioned that this same director has done quite a few different films. I have also, just like Beto, I've also seen Weathering with You, and I saw that one in theaters. I did not see this film in theaters when it first released. I wish I had. No, wait. I did see this in theaters when they released an English dub of it. It's just like mind-blowingly gorgeous. The visuals are breathtaking throughout the film, and they do such an amazing job of making you feel like if this was not animated, this was shot with a really high quality camera and a cinematographer with extreme attention to detail. But they mimicked real life cinematography through animation, which is something I don't see super often. Like I saw like camera techniques and like
Yes.
angles and like this is beautiful, but they drew this. Like this was like somebody who took the time to animate all of these details, and it's beyond just a good looking thing. There was a lot of intention and thought behind each piece that was crafted for this film. So for me, I agree with both Bates and Beto. This is an easy 5 for me as well when it comes to the art and design. Absolutely gorgeous.
And also, I'd like to highlight a couple of the big like animated scenes. There's a couple in particular, but there's like one sequence in particular which is just like so incredible. It's so incredible. It's about an hour in, and it's after Taki drinks the sake, and we get this like it's like drawn. Like it's not paint really, but it's like a kind of like a sketch, almost sketching with all these colors and threads and whatnot
Yeah.
of like the like cells like dividing, like as he's kind of like manifesting there, he's falling through the water. We get these things or these cells are dividing to like represent like this kind of like rebirth, and it's just like so incredible. Like it is one of the best animated things I've like ever seen. And also like it's intercut with these comments. You see Mitsu as a little girl, and it's so beautiful. It's using like the colors, the fact that instead of like the primary colors, it's kind of like
Pastels.
this pastel greenish yellow that kind of is reminiscent of like a storyboard for an animated thing. I don't know if you ever seen like a storyboard for like, and I'm a One Piece fan, so I might reference One Piece, but One Piece or Attack on Titan, whatever. But whenever you get a storyboard, it's kind of like in those like green and reds, right, on like this kind of like greenish yellowish background, and that is like the main color palette for this stuff. It is such a sequence, right? Getting her entire life experience like distilled in this really perfect moment. It's special. It's truly exceptional, and I can put that up there when I think of like other great like animated sequences from like even like classics like Akira. It's sliding up there. It's really special.
Yeah.
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 I'll just mention one because there's a bunch. There's a whole bunch. I've referenced a few. There's a very short scene. It's super short, but it's my goodness. It's the scene where Mitsuha is looking at the comet as it's
About to
landing,
drop. Yeah.
and there's like small pieces of the comet that are like hitting different parts of the island, and we see like puffs of smoke kind of implode during each of these hits, and then this giant blazing blue colorful vibrant piece of this comet seems to be heading directly towards her, and we see it and we see the reflection of the comet in her eyes, before they switch bodies. And it was like, man, this is insane levels of animation.
The thing about it is like, what I like about the way the comics ending, it's just so beautiful that you don't see the hit coming, right?
No.
You think it's just like, oh, this is going to be like a pretty comet, and you think like what I thought when I first saw it was just like, oh, now this is going to be like some sort of like a symbolic thing, because like the comet splits off in two directions, and I just thought that was just pure symbolism, or it was going to, or it was going to be some sort of like magic effect or something that would like further the movie, and then it just like punches you with the comet landing.
Yeah, this is actually death, actually. Yeah. Which is like
yeah, that's what's shocking about that. Yeah,
but the art, the way that they, and that's a really good point, Bait. Like they almost, it's almost like this concept of beauty taking a turn, of something that should be something that I'm viewing from a distance, because we see also Taki 3 years before any of these events take place, he's on the roof of his building watching this beautiful comet, and then he sees the comet split. He reads in the news about a tragedy in some remote location, and then goes about his life, right? And then the content and the concept then cycles back. But even that scene, and it's extremely early in the movie, that we see Taki on top of the building, kind of just looking out at this beautiful comet with no additional context. And I think that was just, man, I love that. The choice of that concept of this is such a beautiful thing. Everyone thinks this is so beautiful. You think it's beautiful from the beginning. The art makes it feel like it's almost heartwarming how gorgeous this is. And it means such doom for so many people during that plot twist moment. But yeah, I'll let Supa share. But that was my favorite part. The comet scene was gorgeous to me.
Oh yeah, I think y'all kind of brought it a lot of the good. Y'all brought up a lot of the good aspects of the animation and art style up. I thought also the art style animation was also really good. And like you mentioned, Gray, it feels like there's like a camera there as it's showing you like various angles, and it's it's really it's a real unique cinematography that this movie has going on. I was actually kind of like struggling between like a 4.5 and a 5, because I think there's a lot of good backdrops to it. Like for instance, like the crater itself after that's a really good.
Yeah.
You could have that as like a wallpaper or somewhere, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of beautiful shots, a lot of beautiful scenes in this movie. I think at first I was thinking it was a 5 because I'm like, I mean, there's some good moments. Like I think the comet looks beautiful. There are a lot of good shots, but like at the same time, like this isn't like there's anything crazy going on in the background. You know what I mean? There isn't like when we're in like Tokyo or when we're in not the suburbs, but wherever, I guess, farmland, mountainside. But no, like this, just the way people like move and like just the way interaction, like when they cry, for instance, like when Taki.
There's so much good crying.
Yeah, when Taki like cries after realizing that he go back to Mitsu once more, those tears just falling down his face, bro. You could just, it's really, they put their foot in that, you know. They I'm gonna give it a 5 too. You know, I'm gonna give it a 5. And yeah, this is a really well animated film. Kudos to the animators.
Yeah. Especially since that movie came out like in 2016. Animation has been going so far into whatever they can become, but around 2016, just seeing that is like crazy. And if you like, I would just like compare it with like, I don't know why I'm comparing this with Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse.
I thought you were gonna compare it to like Ghibli.
Ghibli,
you know,
would be
Ghibli is an inspiration. I think there's like there's a lot of inspiration from Ghibli from in this movie that it's so crazy. And there's so much detail. And one of the things I guess that it compares is just like that, um, the crowd. This the most simplest like townspeople. They're part of the story. They're not like something, a little blob in the background. Every single person is part of what this movie is. And such comparison to like west to movies here in America, where most background characters are just tiny little blobs. But for this one, it was beautifully detailed. Every single frame is just beautifully detailed. To even, obviously, as we just said with like the comment, it's just everything looks so gorgeous.
Yeah, and I think it does a really good job of making like the mundane look
Mundane.
good. Yeah, the mundane.
Mundane. Ah, you just made that up. Now let me stop.
Because like typically when it comes to like anime movie, I mean, for me anyway, because I'm more of an actiony type guy. When it comes to my
Shonen, where
anime,
shonen boys.
yeah, give me that, uh, give me that My Hero, that.
Just
Yeah,
action scenes out of
but
action
like this
scenes.
is why actually Broly, the new DBS Broly movie is actually probably the best anime movie of all time.
I mean,
don't fact check that, but
I
No
mean,
fact checking here,
but
please.
it's the fact that they were able to make this look as beautiful as it does, as smooth as it does. Even though there's not like any supernatural elements or there's not like any like kung fu or whatever, or it's still it's really, as a viewer, it's really good to see. You can see the
but
effort.
would the film be better if Gojo was in it?
Oh yeah, it'll be a 10.
Gojo, stop the comment.
Just like in the background, like in the background, they were just having like a Jujutsu Kaisen style like battle, just periodically for no reason. It wasn't really connected to the plot line, but it just cut. It's like a really raw fight midway through. Would have like capture your attention a little bit more.
Yeah. Hey, I gave it a 5. I don't know what
I know. I'm just saying.
I'm being fair.
Listen, Sean Boy over here doesn't really appreciate art. He's like, but I do appreciate art. What are you talking about?
Like, I'm objective.
Oh man, that's crazy.
All right, moving on to our next category. We got perfect scores across the board. Let's talk about the characters, which I think is the real heart of Your Name.
Yeah, man. All right, I want to start this off. There's this really interesting character in the film, aside from the main character. This person's a side character who originally was a character that Taki has a crush on. She is a coworker of his, Okudera, Miss Okudera as they call her, and it's a funny kind of like plot line in the story because Taki just kind of admires her from afar, but he's nervous to share his feelings with her. Right? But Mitsuha, once she's in Taki's body, has no context about his nervousness. So she's very forward about supporting and helping Okudera and kind of like supporting her through some complex work situations, like customer cutting her skirt so that it's more revealing in a way that she can't see it with a knife. So that it's crazy things. And Mitsuha inside of Taki's body sews her skirt and like adds in some like cute embroidery on it. And they end up developing a connection. And Mitsuha essentially, because she acknowledges that Taki has this crush, wants to do something nice for him. And so she helps to build that bond, to build that connection, and then gets him on a date. And Okudera can tell not only that there's a difference, but also that she's the first person in the film, I think, that acknowledges Taki's feelings changing. And I think almost for me, it was a surprising moment because I didn't notice it at first. I didn't realize that Taki now was building a romantic and emotional connection with Mitsuha. It didn't dawn on me, but I did. Like, there was like moments where there was like a bit of angst, like like stop ruining my life. Like, I'm gonna put all these rules in the thing, you know, and like there were like a lot of like headbutting. But I think after so many swaps, they started to build a connection with each other in a really deep way, even though, as Supa O has mentioned earlier, they didn't have a direct connection with each other in face to face. This was all through like message communication and diary entries and like very like roundabout ways of communication. But this side character, Mr. Okudera, ends up revealing a huge plot point of, you used to have a crush on me, but you have feelings for somebody else now, don't you? And I feel like to have a side character reveal something of that weight was really interesting writing. I think it was very appropriate writing because if there's anybody who would notice that, it should be her. And then later in the story, we find out that she actually had feelings for him too. The feelings were mutual. And because he never made that first step, she was a bit apprehensive, but she almost was more attracted to who he was with that connection with Mitsuha and kind of the changes that were brought about through him. And she has kind of come to grips. There's a scene where she's smoking a cigarette with his classmate, and she has a moment where she comes to grips with the fact that that connection that they had and the moment that they had together is no longer possible because his emotions are now fully dedicated to Mitsuha. And I just felt like to write a story where we're seeing the main characters transform in real time through the story and through their connections and through just situations that they're dealing with. I think it's very smart writing. I think it's really intricate writing. I think it's very thought-provoking, and it's very realistic. Like, it's very realistic that this new person comes into his life and she impacts his life in such strong ways, and he develops emotionally a romantic connection with this person that he has not met in person yet, but he feels like he's known for so long. For me, that's an illustration of why I think that the characters in this film, for me personally, are a 5 out of 5. Even the side characters are written with such thought and detail. Down to the little sister, to the grandmother, to the romantic interest, to the classmate. Like, everyone plays an important role, and it culminates in a really, really well fleshed out story. So, 5 for me.
I'd say it's also a 5 for me. The characters are all great. I also like to highlight some of the characters that we see on Mitsuha's side, right? All the people in the small town are really wonderful, and they all have more depth than you'd think they'd have or they would need to have, you know, from the sister to the grandmother to her father, you know, who's the mayor of the town. All have intricacies, right? They all seem maybe kind of one note, but they all have their own little feelings and special circumstances, and they're also willing to change in different ways, right? They're not static, right? And it feels kind of realistic in that way. Also, the other character they have, like the friend, the two friends she has that help her on her journey, are also they're really great. You know, you have that dynamic. Kind of like you know, active guy who's running around and is willing to do like acts of terrorism on a whim.
I got the
um,
bombs.
here's the bombs.
I'm down.
That was wild. Okay, that was like, all right. I get it, but like I'd probably need a little bit stronger evidence, you know, to like I'm gonna, you know, pull some like Ted Kaczynski maneuvers on my town.
Bro, yeah.
But they like all those people are great. I think everyone, and you feel the environment of the small town, right? You feel it, you can get it. You can also understand why, you know, it might be suffocating for someone like Mitsuha, right? She appreciates it, but like, you know, it's that feeling of like, well, I need to like get out of here. And one thing I'm surprised about, like, town blows up, and that's probably the part of the reason she gets out of there. But it's also like, in a lot of these stories, it'll be like, yeah, but we all, you might want to leave, but actually, your real home is right here, and you got to stay here, and you got to stay in one spot, blah blah blah, and you just didn't appreciate it. But it was like, no, actually, no, she benefited from moving on, right? She couldn't be contained to that one area, and by moving on, actually, she was able to carry on. And that's how she was able to link up with Taki at the end of the movie, and all the characters are so well done and well written, and especially for a movie that is like under 2 hours long, it would be so easy to make them more stock and more static. But instead we get some really quality writing here.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, I could go. I'm gonna have to be the Debbie Downer here.
Mm.
We gotta have to. They can't all be fives. They can't all be. We can't all be fives.
We can't all give it out like that.
I'm sorry. I think me and Gray are opening up a Krispy Kreme for this episode.
Blazing the donuts. The donuts.
For characters, we gotta. For characters, I gave it a 3.5. And the reason I did that is I think now I was saying on this, right? Taki and Mitsu, I think both of those are great protagonists for this film. And like I said before, they bounce off each other really well, and they interact in each other's lives. They interact with each cast pretty well too. I like their dynamic with everyone on their sides. My only thing about it is, or a couple things about it, is I think the side cast on Mitsu's side is a lot stronger and memorable than the side cast on Taki's side. Like, not to say that Taki's side was like, terrible or like bad, but like I just didn't think they were all that interesting to me personally. The most they really did for me was when he was gonna go to Mitsu's village because he wanted to link up with Mitsu, and they were like, you know what, we'll follow you. You know what I mean? And that was cool. That was cool. And like Grace said before, what's her name? Moro? Okudera. Yeah. I do like that aspect of her kind of seeing that. Oh, okay, yeah, he's fallen for someone else. He's rather be with someone else than me, so we can't have that relationship anymore. But I don't know. They didn't really do much for me. They were just kind of like there. And on Mitsu's side, I think like the cast on her, like I said, I think the cast on her side is a lot stronger. I like the sister and the grandma and her two friends that help. I think we could have gotten a bit more from the dad, especially with him being like the mayor of the town. I feel like we didn't really get a whole lot of him. Yeah, we could have seen how he interacted.
It's called subtext. Oh,
Yeah.
It's
Read between the lines, I think would
He's
happen.
an absentee father, like by design.
Yeah, and just the way he talks to his daughter, be like, "Hey, straighten up."
Yeah,
but
You would get a sense right there.
like my
Get your
thing
head
is
checked out to his daughter, where she's like trying to have a one-on-one conversation with him, like crazy.
But like I don't know. Like for me, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I do get it, right? But like I just would have liked to have like when Taki was in Mitsu's body, and this was like around the time when he was like warning everyone that there was comet coming, right? And he goes to the dad and to wanted her dad to like evacuate the village, right? And her dad clearly like being like the mayor. He's like, no, we're not doing that. Stop acting crazy. And it got to a point where like Taki yells at her dad as Mitsu, and you can see in him that he's like, who are you? Who are you? Like he knows something's up. Like at that point, and to me, I'm like, we should have explored that a bit more. We should have explored that a bit more, but we just didn't. And
I feel like there's a defense in that, but I just can't find it myself.
I got a defense. I do. I'm ready. I'm actually a ride or die for your name now.
okay.
I'm a shooter.
Stand
Let's
tall.
go.
I would say I think especially in that time crunch of like trying to warn everybody, there was not enough like time there. I think that was a father being shocked at being like, his daughter talking to him like that and say like, you're not, not my daughter. And he might. I think he's always been like, he's portrayed as someone who, on one hand, doesn't want to believe in, all of the supernatural happenings that the deals with like the Shinto, priests and all that stuff. He's like, oh, whatever, that's like a waste of time. But I still think he, in the back of his head, he probably still has some like, oh, well, actually, maybe they had some points. uh, you know, there always, like always. I think he always has that like, rolling around with him. So I think that's why he responded like that. And I think you're supposed to infer a lot about the relationship from the sequence with the sake sequence, where you can kind of see how they, how the relationship started, where it went wrong, and where he ended up. And I think you're supposed to like get those 2 points and kind of like connect the dots. And you're right, there wasn't like an exact thing that could be elaborated, but I feel like there was enough there to infer.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. That's fair. But like, I don't know. To me, it's like the moment he like, even if it wasn't Taki, even if it was like Mitsu herself speaking like this to him, right? And he said that.
Well, she does.
Oh yeah, no, I, like later on. But like, even if it was like Mitsu, just in that scene, even if it was like Mitsu and he was like, "Who are you?" Right? This isn't the Mitsu I'm used to talking to, right? The fact that like he thought about that, the fact that he noticed that, hey, Mitsu is acting like different. I get it. It's kind of hard to believe that a comet's gonna come down. That's not exactly. And if your daughter telling you that a village's about to be destroyed, that's not exactly the most compelling thing for you to jump towards.
Sounds crazy.
Yeah, but like at the same time, to the like, I don't know. I felt like we could have gotten a bit more, just like, I don't know, a scene of him being like, but what if, like she is being kind of weird. She was tweaking. I'm not saying we gotta cancel it, but like,
I think that was sacrificed so you could get a surprise. You could get the ambiguity of like, did it work or not, right? Because I think that is like they kind of drive you right up to that point when you're kind of like, well, did she do it? Did she save the town or not? I think that's why they didn't. They held back some of that stuff.
Yeah, I agree with Bait's call there. I think there was a purposeful decision to exclude certain plot points in certain moments in favor of surprises for the audience. One could argue they could have had less of those moments, but then you miss out on like the comet scene mid-film. Then you miss out on the light of seeing her still alive towards the end of the movie. Like then you like there's things you lose if they tell too much. But I understand your perspective.
Yeah. So while you have a good opinion, it has been thoroughly defeated in the marketplace of ideas by our immaculate facts and logic. I'm sorry. Beto, what's your score?
I'm not a stickler, but I would also, let me just say it. I put it as a 4, clean 4. Why?
Beto, they're gonna cook you.
No. I'm not being a hater.
Podcast Civil War.
I'm not being a hater here. I'm an appreciator, but also have some concern because some of the characters, they do feel, I would say, not useless, but they could have done a lot more, especially on who was his name?
Taki?
On Taki's side. Yes, he could have done a lot more. Well, obviously you can't do everything in animation. You got to set in stone what you want and start the production. But I guess they conserved a lot of that through Mitsuha's as the driving point rather than using Taki's. But they could have used his background characters a lot more rather than just have like an equal balance. I don't know if I'm saying that, if I'm saying what I'm saying here is correct, or saying it's well. But I think they could have used a lot more with some of the side characters in Taki's life, because I think the story was just going through Mitsuha's, like she was the main character, and Taki was just a supporting character. And even though they were going through their own struggles and in their own upbringings, some of that upbringing was not supported well through Taki's supporting characters. So I think that kind of diminished it, and it just didn't felt like we were enjoying on Mitsuha's side rather than his. So in the characters, they're all great, but I just wish that we could have seen some kind of way that they're all used as not just as a helper, but they have their little hope, their little just a little bit more.
I hear this perspective and I understand it. I respect it. I think one thing that as a viewer we have to almost remember is that the tragedy was really mainly on one side. There was nothing that really endangered Taki as a person or his friends or his family. The danger purely was on Mitsuha's side. And
Right.
so the concept behind this film was almost the idea of, well, what's possible to protect these people, right? And I think because that was the focus, you're correct, right? To an extent, Mitsuha and her loved ones were the ones in danger during this movie, right? And so Taki's objective during the second half, after he realized what was really going on, was how do I save them? Like, how do I help them? How do I support them? And most of that had to be done in Mitsuha's world. It couldn't
And
really
by Taki.
Yeah, by Taki. It couldn't really be done in Taki's world at all. All he could do was gather information and gain awareness, and his friends could support him and be there for him as a friend. They couldn't go to Mitsuha's world. They didn't have any access to that at all. It was pretty much, and so I think if they did take more time, hypothetically, to flesh out the characters on Taki's side more than they already have, because like I said, we did get quite a bit of his classmates, enough to be like, oh, these guys really support him. They care about him. They brought him to a cafe. They want to hang out with him. He's acting a little weird, but they don't judge him. They don't feel differently about him. Like, they still care about him. That's their guy. His coworkers kind of judging them for talking to the girl that they all like. Like, we got quite a bit of the other people in Taki's life. Could we have gotten more about his relationship with his father? Sure. Would that have helped move the story and what was going on in Mitsuha's world? Not really. I think they were very deliberate with what characters they chose to focus on and how they chose to drive the plot through those characters. And I don't feel like it was a mistake. I feel like it was very thoughtfully done. But I understand your perspective. You're like, you wanted a little bit more from them. Personally, I feel like even if they did give more, it wouldn't really move the story any way differently than how it was moving, based on the characters that we really needed to understand better.
Yeah.
I join in, but I have a duty to move the podcast along.
I respect it.
So let's go on to the third category. We're talking about the writing and dialogue. And before I go into writing dialogue, I'll say, did we watch this in sub or dub?
Sub for me. I saw it in sub. I saw it in dubbed at the theaters, but I watched it in sub today.
This time, you know what? I watched it dub this time, but my original time was sub.
Dub.
I'm an old man, and give me the English shit. Please.
I'll only watch sub if I'm in the theaters and away from my phone and away from the comfort of my couch.
True, very true.
It was just the most convenient. It was just the most convenient. It was just, you know what? I saw the, I'm like, oh yeah, sure, might as well.
Also, it's not 2006 anymore. Dubs are good. Dubs been good.
It's kind of, the argument is gone.
We have good voice actors now. Like, you can relax. I'm sorry, like, you know, you may be like the last soldier from World War II fighting in the jungle after 28 years.
Oh man,
but but Dubs, the
Old
war's
man
over.
Sub.
The war's been over, man. I'm sorry. The Dubs are good now. Yeah, but so, but the Dragon Ball dub was really goofy. We're like, who cares, dog? Time's passed.
Time has passed.
So yeah, we're not doing 4 kids, anymore.
I'm a traditionalist, though. I can't, you know what I mean?
That's fair.
I enjoy a good sub show.
Yeah.
I think I'll say sub or dub depends on like my attachment to the thing and what I feel is the more resonant experience. Because like some things I'll say I'll be sub on like I gotta do One Piece sub, right?
Mm.
I probably want to do like Attack on Titan sub, but at the same time, there's some stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, I'll watch. Like Dragon Ball is always gonna be dub in my heart. Naruto is gonna be dub in my heart. Especially the voice actor for like Pain and
Nah, he goes crazy.
Obito, just killing it. But yeah, like they got their pluses, they got their minuses.
Am I sweating? No.
Yeah, bro, the dub
It's so
just
cold.
cooking, just cooking.
So
All right.
cold, bro.
So back to the writing and dialogue. I'd say the writing was very good. The writing was very good. I am going to give it a 4, actually. Right. I think the writing to it. I think the a lot of the dialogue's good. It's just it's just your classic like like any of these stories. It's the parts where they have to make people believe stuff that's kind of unreasonable to believe. And I'm like, it's a movie. You gotta get it going. I'll say some of the arguments weren't the most convincing, and some of the actions of people, especially the way some of the friends are written. I guess I will never get over Mitsuo's friend being like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna blow up the Transformers at the thing because hey man, I trust you." That's insane. That's an insane thing to do in any circumstance. But overall, I think the writing is strong, and I was so ready at like maybe the 30-minute mark to go like Cinema Sins and be like, oh, what do you mean? These people can't communicate to each other? Have they ever heard of a cell phone? Like I was like full on like, how come they haven't talked to each other yet? This would be super easy. I was like, I'd solve that in like, one day, blah blah blah. But then once you get that twist, like actually it's 3 years, then I was like, okay. And then they do try to call each other.
Yeah.
They do try
He puts the number in his phone and he tries to call it.
And as I think for like the script writing, like the story, that twist, like everything kind of locks into place like so well around that. So yeah, it's a 4 for me.
I'll go last this time.
I could go. So for writing, I gave it a 3.5. So I thought so the writing for me in this movie, or at least especially with like the dialogue, I think a lot of the stronger writing and dialogue choices comes more towards like the end of the movie, like post comment, or at least post reveal of it actually being a 3-year time difference. Like I think like a really good scene from that moment on is like when they meet up when they actually are meeting face to face at the shrine cave, and this is the first time they've seen each other, and he kind of like realizes that they have a conversation, and he realizes that she's actually gonna like die if she stays in this village. And I really like their conversation between them. You could see that like this is where their feelings really start like coming together with each other, and they start actually like falling for each other, to the point where Taki takes Mitsu's hand, and he writes something on it, and originally he's gonna be like, I'll never forget, this is so that you'll never forget me, you know what I mean, and you'll read this and you'll remember me. And you're thinking, oh, it's his name. You're thinking, oh, it's his name that he wrote down. And then later in the film, when all looks lost and Mitsu's like at her lowest, and she's like, man, there's someone who I'm trying to like remember, but I can't. Oh, that's right. I have this writing on me, and she looks at her hand and it says "I love you." I thought that was great.
Yeah.
That was great. That was really bittersweet. But like, and like, there's also like, I also really enjoyed the just how the movie like ends when they do meet up, and they just and the first thing they want to like tell each other is like, "Hey, what's a title screen?" You know what I mean? That was really nice. But like before that moment, I'm be honest, there's not really like a whole lot of like dialogue or writing choice. There's nothing that was like that. Like I'm not saying it was like boring, right, or anything like that. But like there was something like stood out to me. You know what I mean? Uh,
Uh,
but that's why I would personally go with 3.5.
Interesting. I was gonna go for the 4.5, one-upping you, Supa,
Mm.
because I think the writing was a stellar part of this movie. Just the conversations that everyone has is establishes who they are, establishes everything that they want, and they help to further the story even. Uh, it's just great, uh, especially like when they're trying to talk to each other, what they're trying to communicate, and just these funny kind of dialogues that they have when they were trying to make up the rules of what they should be doing with their bodies and all that. That was pretty funny, and just how sincere and simplistic everything is, because not everything has to be uh, like a paragraph of dialogue just to tell what a person should be feeling, what they should be saying, but each each of whatever they said is just simple to the point, just a real good feeling of what who they are as their age, and just and how they are with everyone else. It was just a funny, simplistic script that it just goes forward as a single narrative.
Yeah. All right. So next we'll talk
Oh,
about the
great
X.
Hesta.
Oh, right, you're right. Actually,
Yeah.
how could I forget? You know
I can have when
the lonesome gray, so easily forgotten. All right, say your
I
piece.
I when I think about writing and dialogue, character conversations, the plot itself of the film, I feel like the only things that would make me drop it is if there was anything wasted, right? So if we had like conversations or dialogue that I felt like this doesn't add anything, this doesn't tell me more about this character, or this doesn't really move the story that much, or like why is this here, right? Like any dialogue or any writing that feels like why is this here? I think that would make me drop that number. For me, I wasn't bored by the story because I felt like even the parts that felt very like metaphorical were written to be clues to the main characters to figure out their connection, right? Like when Taki was in Mitsua's body, he was carrying the grandma up the mountain to the shrine, and the grandma was talking about I think she was Musubi, which is this. It's part of their faith system of how so many parts of existence and of life are so interwoven and connected, just like these bands that they make as a part of their faith. And I'm this is probably my sixth or seventh time watching this movie, and every time I watch it, I just kind of pick up small new pieces because they wrote it very deliberately with an enormous number of references and nuance to help the characters piece together what's really going on. When I look at writing that does things like that, I almost think about films like another animated film I think is phenomenal, Across the Spider-Verse, where you have writing designed to build upon itself and small story elements that you might have to pay very close attention to notice, but they hold quite a bit of weight later in the story. And when I see writing like that, it makes me think about how deliberate the thought process behind that was. We're going to add in something really subtle that doesn't really feel like it means a lot right now. And then as the story continues, you realize it means almost everything. I feel as though all of the writing and all the conversation between the characters all did something to move the characterization of each of the individuals. I feel like the actual plot itself was really interesting and really engaging. Nothing felt wasted. Nothing felt like, well, why is this here? Even small things like Mitsuo's classmates laughing at her throughout the film to make her feel small. And she's hunched over because she's ashamed. And her father sees it and is like, I'm a proud man. I'm proud of who I am and what I do. Why aren't you proud? You're my daughter. And him not saying those words, but just saying, stand up straight. And it adding to her embarrassment. And she like hurries a little fast. Like, I feel like there's just so many things in the film that feel very real. Everything makes sense. Nothing feels like, that doesn't sound that realistic. I understand Bates' statement about the explosives thing, but what I would say to that line is, I don't know about the other people on the pod here, but I have had a crush in the past, and when you have a crush, he had a crush on Mitsuha. When you have a crush, especially when you're youngish, there are times where you behave very irrationally. And you give things very little thought because the girl that you like asked you for something. And it's something that you can do. You have the ability to do it.
I was going to say, you saying you'd be ready to slime someone out for your crush?
Listen, man. She said to trust her. She said she has an idea. She said something bad is going to happen if we don't do this. And I care about her. I like her a lot. I feel like I don't want to let her down. All right. I have some skills that I've just learned. Maybe I can use the skills I've learned to help the girl that I like. That's not a shocking, like it adds up. Like when I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that definitely adds up. That makes a lot of sense to me. Even if the action is irrational, he's a kid. And there's a girl he likes. And the girl he likes is asking him to do something very irrational. He's not going to be like, I don't know if that makes, I don't know if I should do that. I might lose my job. He, when it comes to interaction with his father, his dad's like, you're going to learn explosives because you're my son and you're going to do my job when you grow up. And that's fine. We're in a small town. You're going to live here for the rest of your life. The son started to develop that mentality too. I'm going to live here for the rest of my life. I'm not going to leave this town. This is where I'm going to live for until I die. But he doesn't want that, really. He says it to his friends because he feels that's what he has to do. But his father and his interactions tell you, oh, there's a little bit more here. That writing is so smart to me.
And I didn't think I even picked up on that. So
there's a lot of like small nuance, like that they definitely did an amazing job of making everything in this town, both towns, feel very real. Obviously, they lean more towards Mitsuo's town because that's where the bulk of the events were going to be taking place. But I thought everything here was masterfully written. A lot of my favorite movies, my other favorite movies that I like, do very similar things to what this movie does. And so for me, as I would with any film that uses some of these similar tropes, I'm feeling a strong to decent 5 when it comes to the writing.
Strong to decent 5. I like it. All right. So X Factor. What makes us unique? Okay. What we're let's go shake up the order a little bit. What's your X Factor, Beto?
I think it's like a 5. I'm going with a 5 here. It's strange. I think it's just mostly based off the animation and just the twist of the story. That's what makes this even crazier. Because if it was just any other kind of animation, if it was done here in America or somewhere else, the movie could have done decently well. But just what the director wanted to do and what he wanted the style to look like, it was all on him and the animation team as well to bring this style and this kind of things, this visual to just pop out at you and capture you into the story. So I think it was a clean 5 would just mean just basically the art of the whole entire movie and just how beautiful it looks.
I couldn't help you. You said something because you said Made in America, and I think you'd be excited to find out. And I don't know if you know, Gray, but they are working. Hollywood has been shopping around a live action remake of Your Name for a few years. And
It's been a while. It's in development.
Now
hell
you
at
might
this
say,
point.
what live action? Your name that's so Japanese, right? How will they make it American, right? Well, what if instead of Tokyo? You know what? They've always said that I think Chicago is like the Tokyo of America. So we have a young
All
man
that
from
is
Chicago. We
Chicago.
have a young man from Chicago, right?
And
Now,
where's the girl
and you would
from?
say, okay, where's the girl from? Because
yeah.
she has a very spiritual connection, right? Really connected to Shintoism. What is the American equivalent? Well, what if the girl was Native American and convened with her ancestors, and that is how she knew about the thing and the body swapping and all that stuff. What if we played into those tropes?
Oh my
Is this the
gosh.
actual synopsis of the?
This is the plan.
This
This
is
is
what
I
they're
see
working on.
now. Granted, it has been bounced back. I think J.J. Abrams was tied to it, and then it bounced back to somebody else. I think right now, from my research,
Live action scares me, for the record, folks. I'm just
says
share that
Same
that I
sentiment.
think it's
makes
like
me nervous.
Carlos or something that's on the live action Your Name right now.
The only news I have right now I picked up from a Collider article is the director of that one animated movie from Disney that no one cares about.
Yeah. But
Uh,
Carlos Lopez Estrada has been the most recent person to talk about the live action Your Name. So, just you wait.
Just you wait.
You like your name so much the first time, Gray. So I think you like it again.
The
Nah,
second.
hey, yo, I'm gonna be like the Don from The Godfather. Look how they massacred my boy.
Look how they massacred my boy.
I'd say the X factor in this is probably 5. It was a very unique thing, and it's also the idea is very high concept. We're dealing with some very high concept between like the shrines and then the sake and like the 3-year difference and the comments and them, especially when that golden hour. And when I think of like all the story beats, it is like I think that's the most unique thing about it because like the animation's good, but like let's face it, there's like a million things coming out of Japan that have good animation,
Yeah.
right? There's good animation coming out every single day. So what really makes it stand out is that story. That and it could have been simpler, or it could just not worked. It could have been missing an element, and you just have a film that's confusing instead of like good. But that story got me. So yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it's between a 4.5 to a 5. When I think of the X Factor and what uniqueness it brings, I'm comparing this to like other rom coms I've seen, more specifically more animated rom coms I've seen, uh, and also the Freaky Friday movie.
Name 5 animated rom coms you've seen.
All right, Your Lie in April,
Okay.
Toradora,
All right.
Trek.
You're doing better than I expected. So.
Look, the point is, the point is, all right, just compared to those, I think it is on the better side of those movies. And I also like the Freaky Friday aspect of it. It's a Freaky Friday trope with even like a bit of a twist within that trope itself, where instead of it just being across two bodies, it's also across time, which I thought works really well with this film. Especially once they lock in on that fact, it stops becoming a buddy swap comedy and starts actually becoming a, oh, how do I save this person type beat, which I enjoyed. I think it's just not perfect for me, or at least it's not I think it's going between those two, I should say. It's because I mean, no, I think I said 4.5 to 5. I don't know. I think I just need a bit more from it. Uh, like the like originally, I think for me, right, the movie really starts kicking off when we get to that twist of, oh, they're going across they're communicating across time, and comment is coming. That's where it really like kicks off for me. But before then was very much like Mitsu's in Taki's body, and Taki's acting like a more feminine in front of his cohorts and peers and all that. And Taki is in Mitsu's body, and she's acting more brash and boyish around her peers. And there's like this scene. I don't think we touched upon it, but not a scene, but it's like this montage that kind of like felt like very trailer esque.
Oh yeah, that was kind of weird. It's when the music started playing and it was like an anime OP in
Yeah,
the middle of the film.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
I was like, that never happens.
it's a real like meet Taki, and he's in the body of a 30-year-old girl. It's just like it's just like, but no, I think what it does, I think what it
That's
does,
funny,
it does
man.
things pretty well. So that's why I would actually don't even know what I'm gonna give it. I'm giving it a 4.5. I'll give it a 4.5 personally.
I
So-
believe this leaves a Gray.
All right, X Factor. What does this film do differently than what a lot of other films do? I think many of you already mentioned it. Plot twist was really, really well thought out, and you probably weren't expecting it, which I think really sells the moment, right? I think the way that they hide the twist, like you at no point, like you're watching it, but it doesn't feel like she's from a super long time ago because she's not. It's 3 years. It's kind of a shortish time gap, but not short enough where they can still connect with each other in person. And I think that Freaky Fridays is something I never thought about it. It's really good reference there, Supa. Yeah, like I was blown away when I first saw that plot twist, and I was also blown away by how good everything looked. And I think me saying how good everything looked just sounds like an oversimplification, because it is an oversimplification.
Yeah.
We ranted for quite some time at the beginning of this episode around the visuals and the art design, and how much we all loved it. I think that was our only unanimous 5 of this review, because it is that good. And I feel like that's something that sets it apart from just a lot of other great anime films. Is just like it's better than great. Like, it's exceptional. I think that plus the story make it hard for me to rate this X Factor anything lower than a 5, because in the things that it is strong at, it is exceptional at. And so yeah, I'm gonna have to give the X Factor a solid 5 for this one.
Yeah.
All
All right. And the last but not least, our category of hype moments in aura.
It's just
where
beautiful
are we rating
scenes.
this 1 through 5 on the
It's
I-
just
I-
looking at beautiful scenes.
Yeah,
hype
I
moments.
feel like this is gonna be relatively fast because we'll just talk about the same, the same 4 scenes we've been talking about for like the past,
They're
hour
hype,
and a half.
man. They're hype scenes.
Can I just say the hype scene? I would say, to me personally, was probably the weird OP musical montage scene. Was a little hype.
I think it wasn't even. I think it wasn't supposed to be like that. I think it was just supposed to be a montage. But
Yeah.
the music choice was so anime OP coded,
Right?
that
Mitsu.
yeah, that it felt like it at the beginning of an OP.
It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah, you needed something else there. But for me, it's a 4. Not because it's not hype and it's not cool, but once again, I have to keep my grading integrity, and I'm afraid there's just more hype than this. This is a true saying, but it's it's great. It's just there's greater heights.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Beto?
Hype.
Give us those juicy numbers.
I would say a 4. I just continue saying that just the animated scenes, especially the OP scene and the last few minutes of the movie. That was really a hype moment. Just like, oh, they're finally together. They know who they're remembering the memories coming back and all that. And that was just a beautiful scene there.
For hype moments, I gave it a 3 personally.
All right, let's get out of here.
This so, and I take hype moments more. So when I think of hype moments and aura for these kind of category, I think of it more so in the sense of just what points of the movie or whatever media I have that appealed to me or gave me some kind of level of
Excitement.
feeling. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So even though it's not like Taki or Farman. It doesn't have Taki or Farman or something. It gives media a fair shake, right? For me, it's only really like and it also depends on like how good those scenes are too. And there are some good scenes in here, right? But like we mentioned it before, like the comet scene is a massive the comet scene is a massive moment. But for me, it was more so the "I love you" writing scene when all is lost and she looks at her hand and figures out that Taki actually wrote "I love you" instead of his name. That was really good. That actually, I actually even forgot when I was on my rewatch that he wrote. I remember him writing something else, but I just couldn't remember what it was.
What it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was "I love you," and I thought that was good. That was really nice. But there's also this one scene that stood out to me, right? And it's a scene that I like. Like when I watched it originally, right? I wrote it down somewhere because but it's
We got
essentially
notes.
yeah. I come back, bro. So it was the pen dropping scene when he was about to write when she was about to write her name onto his hand, and she disappears, and you see the next scene is just the pen dropping on the ground. When I seen that scene originally, right, I was with a couple of my friends at the time, right? Well, more so it was like a group of people, but I was like with two of them were like the closest to me, right? When that scene happened in the theaters, I believe a lot of people in the people, stricken with grief, they were like shocked. They're like, "What? How could this have happened?" Like one of my friends, right, was like glued to a seat. He was just like I could see like tears welling up.
Disbelief.
Yeah.
Like he was wiping away tears.
Yeah. It hits.
It did hit. However, for me and my other friend, right, when that scene happened, I just remember all we did was just laugh. We were dying,
Well,
bro.
that was
We
like
were the
what? I know.
like it was so like the unintentional comedic timing of that scene just had us like, bro, because like the soundtrack cuts out too. Like, bro, I just remember us like that, and like our friend just be like, "Yo, why are you guys laughing? It's serious." But after watching that again, I'm not gonna lie, I still chuckled a bit. Maybe it's because of the memory, bro. Maybe it's because of the memory. Maybe it's just like I still when that scene happened and it dropped, I was still like,
my boy said he nervous. I love that.
But yeah, no, that the pen scene is cool, right? But yeah, no, just can put out some lore that like, hey, for a second that was a comedy.
For a second. Well, that's the thing with movies. Everybody can have their own interpretation, right? All right. So what's the number?
The number for me is what I say, 3.
All right.
For high
Did
moments.
you give a number yet, Greg?
I haven't given a number or anything on my hype moment / aura from your name, but I'll share my thoughts on it. I am also a fair reviewer, and for myself, I feel like there were a few moments in the movie that were emotional peak moments for me. There were definitely a few. The scene where they're around the crater and they hear each other, and it's their first time talking to each other, I thought was a pretty hype moment. The scene where they see each other in person for the first time at the end of the movie was a pretty hype moment. But there are not a ton of them in the movie because the movie instead focuses on build up to a pretty big climax and build up to a pretty big plot twist. And that's kind of like the flow of the movie. You have a huge build up to a twist in the story, and then you've got a huge build up to the resolution to the twist. And I think the moment where we see her was a hype moment. We're like, oh gosh, wow, she survived. That's huge. Or the moment where the comet was hitting, and he realizes that she died, and that she's gone, and that's why he can't reach her, he can't talk to her, can't communicate with her. We saw the messages deleting off of the phone, text changing in real time, like a lot of bizarre things happening. I think those were moments that gave me, like, I felt like some of the emotion of the characters in those moments. But there were not a ton of moments that would make me feel what I would describe as hype or excitement. And even if I'm talking a romance film, I would almost call this more of a drama than a romance film. It had romantic elements, but it was a lot of drama. I actually would rate the hype moments in Aura a 4. I think the ones that were there they hit really, really well. I'm not docking it because I think it could have used more. I think it had an appropriate number. I just feel like the movie didn't need more, but there are films that I have seen that would add more moments of intrigue or excitement or emotional peak. So specifically for this category, it's the one category that I feel like it wasn't attempting to add in a bunch of hype moments, and I feel the story was better for it, admittedly.
Okay. So I think everyone has their numbers.
Yeah.
All right, tallying them up. I'll say my score is going to be a 4.6.
Ooh, I'm one up, 4.7.
4.8.
All right, let's see that missile that's going to take the score. Let's go.
It is a 1.5.
That's not true.
What kind of? Nah, I got a.
Wow, all that hating and the most you can muster is a 4.
It's a bad.
That's how you know the movie's good.
Yeah. He really was just like,
He really tried too. He really gave it an honest.
I wouldn't even try. I would give my honest opinion of the movie, but hey.
Okay.
I appreciate.
After much consultation, the official peak of fiction score for Your Name is 4.5.
All right.
Officially certified peak.
Yeah.
Certified peak.
We'll hit, when we get a peak movie, we'll hit the peak movie sound. We'll bring it back to the classics. Go. Gee, back in the day, for the youngins, that's how you knew it was going to be a good movie. So you had that THX logo.
Yeah.
Right, so
For those born after 2010.
so we know, okay, so officially in the rankings, this puts it, actually matching Godzilla -1 in score, and right below Superman. So right now, our top 5 peak ratings are Superman 2025, Your Name / Godzilla -1, Marvel Civil War. Crazy, that's 4.4. Anyways, and Speed Racer.
Speed Racers.
What happened to the Iron Giant? Oh, my bad.
I'll say sorry. Iron Giant's not even on the mountain. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
They didn't make it,
It was just climbing there until.
You don't understand. Iron Giant couldn't join us on this journey.
It's okay, Beto.
All right. So, it's another great episode. If you made it this far somehow, please leave a like and subscribe on whatever channel or platform that we're on. Leave a review, all that jazz. It will help as we strive to grow and, finally, eventually defeat Joe Rogan and reach an influence. But until then, next week, we will begin our coverage of Steel Ball Run. JoJo Part 7, Steel Ball Run. We will cover the first half of that thing. It's very long. So we will be covering chapters 1 through 47. So we'll be ending on the Promised Land Sugar Mountain Part 3. So if you want to catch up, it is we haven't done a review yet, but I just got a feeling it's gonna be really good. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned for scenes from our next episode.
Thank you for watching, everyone.
Thank you for watching.
Drive safely.
Until then, keep chill.